Officials overseeing the nearly 7,000 Afghan evacuees housed at Camp Atterbury opened their doors to the media Thursday. Our Mitch Legan joined 10 other journalists to see what life is like inside the camp. Mitch, I know you've been trying to get in there for a while. What was it like?
Yeah, so Department of Homeland Security said that they wanted most of the people at the camp to get through with most of their processing before we showed up. So we showed up on Thursday, spoke with some of those DHS officials, State Department officials, and military officials who are overseeing the operations there. And then we hopped in a couple vans and went on what ended up being a 6-hour tour of the camp.
Wow. So the base itself, how's that set up? What's that like?
Well, it's a military base, so kind of stark, nondescript buildings, barracks with bunk beds, things like that. But the camp itself has kind of become a city of sorts. Barracks have created almost neighborhoods. There are a couple mess halls that serve something like 20,000 halal meals a day. And the people there are kind of just killing time like you or I would. They're on their cell phones, walking around. And Joe, there are a ton of kids at this camp. 40% of the people there are 14 years old and younger, and they seem really excited to be here. We are in Indiana. They're learning how to play basketball pretty early with some of the soldiers. They're going to school about once a week, learning some basic English and cultural things. And some of the camp officials said that they're hoping to up those classes now that a lot of these people have been processed, both for children and adults.
You said 40% are under the age of 14.
Yes, and so camp capacity is 7,000 people, and when people leave, more people are brought in. So 150 people showed up on Thursday. I believe another 100 are expected this weekend. And so with all that shuffling in and out, the number of people at the camp has stayed pretty constant at about 6,700 people. And I should say, not 3,000, 330 people have been approved to leave the camp so far.
So just going back a second, you said the barracks kind of act as neighborhoods. Can you give us an idea of what that means?
And so they showed us what they call the 500 block. And each block is a group of barracks that, as we've said, have essentially kind of become neighborhoods. 40 to 120 people live in each barrack, depending on the setup. Women and children sleep together just because of the barrack setups, and then men sleep in separate buildings. They try to keep families together, in buildings kind of next to each other, so they're close. They kind of have that familial experience. But the most interesting part of the neighborhood setup that I found was that each building chooses an English speaker who then participates in what are essentially town halls with the soldiers. 3 times a week, they will come and bring their concerns to the soldiers. Soldiers will give them important information that they will then take back to those barracks and spread amongst the people who are there. I spoke with some of the soldiers, and they said women are actually starting to participate in these meetings more than they would at the beginning. A lot of the husbands didn't want wives around. Single women started showing up at these meetings, and now they're hoping that culture is kind of changing a little bit here on base.
Mitch, sorry we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for that report.
Thank you, Joe.
Very interesting.
Thanks, Joe.